The Immortal Human Soul. Chapter 1. The Human Soul. What about the human soul? IN 1952, the editorial staff of the Syntopican found in their compilation of the great books of the Western world, that the philosophical issue concerning immortality cannot be separated from issues concerning the existence and nature of man's soul. The vast majority of speculation on immortality before the 21st century was regarding the nature of the afterlife. The Christian soul. Hans Holbein the Younger, Danse Macabre, 16th-century Christian theology holds that Adam and Eve lost physical immortality for themselves and all their descendants through the fall, although this initial imperishability of the bodily frame of man was a preternatural condition. Christians who profess the Nicene Creed believe that every dead person, whether they believed in Christ or not, will be resurrected from the dead at the second coming. This belief is known as universal resurrection. Paul the Apostle, in following his past life as a Pharisee, a Jewish social movement that held to a future physical resurrection, proclaims an amalgamated view of resurrected believers where both the physical and the spiritual are rebuilt in the likeness of post-resurrection Christ, who will transform our lowly body to be like his glorious body. This thought mirrors Paul's depiction of believers having been buried therefore with him, that is, Christ by baptism into death. Wright, a theologian and former Bishop of Durham, has said many people forget the physical aspect of what Jesus promised. He told Time, Jesus' resurrection marks the beginning of a restoration that he will complete upon his return. Part of this will be the resurrection of all the dead, who will awake, be embodied and participate in the renewal. Wright says John Polkinghorne, a physicist and a priest, has put it this way: God will download our software onto his hardware until the time he gives us new hardware to run the software again for ourselves. That gets to two things: that the period after death, the intermediate state, is a period when we are in God's presence but not active in our own bodies, and also that the more important transformation will be when we are again embodied and administering Christ's kingdom. This kingdom will consist of heaven and earth joined together in a new creation, he said. Christian apocrypha include immortal human figures such as Cartaphilus, who were cursed with physical immortality for various transgressions against Christ during the Passion. Many writers have connected the immortal rational soul to the image of God found in Genesis 1:26. Islam and the soul. Islamic dogma bears the concept of spiritual immortality within it. The Muslim who holds the 5 pillars of Islam will make an entrance into the Jannah, where they will inhabit indefinitely. Al-Baqarah, 2:25. But give glad tidings to those who believe and work righteousness, that their portion is gardens, beneath which rivers flow. Every time they are fed with fruits therefrom, they say, why, this is what we were fed with before, for they are given things in similitude, and they have therein companions pure, and holy, and they abide therein forever. In contrast, the Kafir hold the contradictory notion that they abide in Jahannam perpetually. Angels in Islam are reckoned as immortals from the perspective of Islam, but most people believe is that the angels will die and that the angel of death will die, but there is no clear text concerning this. Jinn have a long lifespan between 1000 and 1500. In some Muslim Sufi mystics, Khidr is given a long life but not immortality, or there is more than a little argument stated about the demise of Khidr. However, it is the matter of debate, and there is a fabrication point that goes around the Khidr drank from the fountain of life, which is thoroughly invalid. Jesus in Islam was summoned to the sky by Allah's sanction to preserve him from the cross and endow him with long life until the advent of the Dajjal. Dajjal is, additionally, given a long life. Jesus Christ dispatches the Dajjal as he stays after 40 days, one like a year, one like a month, one like a week, and the rest of his days like normal days. The Quran repudiates rejuvenation and physical immortality, stating it is inconceivable for humans to attain genuine every soul will taste death. Quran 3:185 duration, 16 seconds. 0:16 It symbolize the transient nature of life and challenge the concept of immortality in the physical world. The soul in Judaism. The traditional concept of an immaterial and immortal soul distinct from the body was not found in Judaism before the Babylonian exile, but developed as a result of interaction with Persian and Hellenistic philosophies. Accordingly, the Hebrew word nephesh, although translated as soul in some older English language Bibles, actually has a meaning closer to a living being. The only Hebrew word traditionally translated soul, nephesh, in English language Bibles refers to a living, breathing conscious body, rather than to an immortal soul. In the New Testament, the Greek word traditionally translated soul has substantially the same meaning as the Hebrew, without reference to an immortal soul. Soul may refer either to the whole person, the self, as in 3,000 souls were converted in Acts 2:41, see Acts 3:23. The Hebrew Bible speaks about Sheol, originally a synonym of the grave, the repository of the dead or the cessation of existence, until the resurrection of the dead. This doctrine of resurrection is mentioned explicitly only in Daniel 12:1-4, although it may be implied in several other texts. New theories arose concerning Sheol during the intertestamental period. The views about immortality in Judaism is perhaps best exemplified by the various references to this in Second Temple period. The concept of resurrection of the physical body is found in 2 Maccabees, according to which it will happen through recreation of the flesh. Resurrection of the dead is specified in detail in the extra-canonical books of Enoch and in Apocalypse of Baruch. According to the British scholar in Ancient Judaism Pr. Davies, there is little or no clear reference either to immortality or to resurrection from the dead in the Dead Sea Scrolls texts. Both Josephus and the New Testament record that the Sadducees did not believe in an afterlife, but the sources vary on the beliefs of the Pharisees. The New Testament claims that the Pharisees believed in the resurrection, but does not specify whether this included the flesh or not. According to Josephus, who himself was a Pharisee, the Pharisees held that only the soul was immortal and the souls of good people will be reincarnated and pass into other bodies, while the souls of the wicked will suffer eternal punishment. The Book of Jubilees seems to refer to the resurrection of the soul only, or to a more general idea of an immortal soul. Rabbinic Judaism claims that the righteous dead will be resurrected in the Messianic age, with the coming of the Messiah. They will then be granted immortality in a perfect world. The wicked dead, on the other hand, will not be resurrected at all. This is not the only Jewish belief about the afterlife. The Tanakh is not specific about the afterlife, so there are wide differences in views and explanations among believers. The soul in Hinduism. Hindus believe in an immortal soul which is reincarnated after death. According to Hinduism, people repeat a process of life, death, and rebirth in a cycle called samsara. If they live their life well, their karma improves and their station in the next life will be higher, and conversely lower if they live their life poorly. After many lifetimes of perfecting its karma, the soul is freed from the cycle and lives in perpetual bliss. There is no place of eternal torment in Hinduism, although if a soul consistently lives very evil lives, it could work its way down to the very bottom of the cycle. There are explicit renderings in the Upanishads alluding to a physically immortal state brought about by purification and sublimation of the 5 elements that make up the body. For example, in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Chapter 2, Verse 12, it is stated when earth, water, fire, air, and sky arise, that is to say, when the 5 attributes of the elements, mentioned in the books on yoga, become manifest, then the yogi's body becomes purified by the fire of yoga and he is free from illness, old age, and death. Another view of immortality is traced to the Vedic tradition by the interpretation of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, that man indeed whom these contacts do not disturb, who is even-minded in pleasure and pain, steadfast, he is fit for immortality, O best of men. To Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the verse means, once a man has become established in the understanding of the permanent reality of life, his mind rises above the influence of pleasure and pain. Such an unshakable man passes beyond the influence of death, and in the permanent phase of life, he attains eternal life. A man established in the understanding of the unlimited abundance of absolute existence is naturally free from existence of the relative order. This is what gives him the status of immortal life. An Indian Tamil saint known as Valalar claimed to have achieved immortality before disappearing forever from a locked room in 1874. The soul in Buddhism. One of the 3 marks of existence in Buddhism is an it, non-self. This teaching states that the body does not have an eternal soul but is composed of 5 skandhas or aggregates. Additionally, another mark of existence is impermanence, also called anicca, which runs directly counter to concepts of immortality or permanence. According to one Tibetan Buddhist teaching, Dzogchen, individuals can transform the physical body into an immortal body of light called the rainbow body. Ancient religions within the intricate tapestry of ancient religious ideologies, delve into a profound contemplation of the concept of immortality. Simultaneously, broaden the expanse of this intellectual exploration, allowing for a more comprehensive examination of the subject matter. The soul in ancient Greek religion. Immortality in ancient Greek religion originally always included an eternal union of body and soul, as can be seen in Homer, Hesiod, and various other ancient texts. The soul was considered to have an eternal existence in Hades, but without the body the soul was considered dead. Although almost everybody had nothing to look forward to but an eternal existence as a disembodied dead soul, a number of men and women were considered to have gained physical immortality and been brought to live forever in either Elysium, the islands of the blessed, heaven, the ocean, or literally right under the ground. Among those humans made immortal were Amphiaraus, Ganymede, Ino, Iphigenia, Menelaus, Peleus, and a great number of those who fought in the Trojan and Theban wars. Some were considered to have died and been resurrected before they achieved physical immortality. Asclepius was killed by Zeus only to be resurrected and transformed into a major deity. In some versions of the Trojan war myth, Achilles, after being killed, was snatched from his funeral pyre by his divine mother Thetis, resurrected and brought to an immortal existence in either Lys, the Elysian plains, or the islands of the blessed. Memnon, who was killed by Achilles, seems to have received a similar fate. Alcmene, Castor, Heracles, and Melicertes were also among the figures sometimes considered to have been resurrected to physical immortality. According to Herodotus' histories, the 7th century BCE sage Aristes of Proconnesus was first found dead, after which his body disappeared from a locked room. Later he was found not only to have been resurrected but to have gained immortality. The soul in Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrians believe that on the 4th day after death, the human soul leaves the body and the body remains as an empty shell. Souls would go to either heaven or hell. These concepts of the afterlife in Zoroastrianism may have influenced Abrahamic religions. The Persian word for immortal is associated with the month Amurdad, meaning deathless in Persian, in the Iranian calendar. The month of Amurdad or Amur-e-Ta is celebrated in Persian culture as ancient Persians believed the angel of immortality won over the angel of death in this month. The soul in Taoism. It is repeatedly stated in the El Shi Chun Kaihu that death is unavoidable. Henri Maspero noted that many scholarly works frame Taoism as a school of thought focused on the quest for immortality. Isabel Robinette asserts that Taoism is better understood as a way of life than as a religion, and that its adherents do not approach or view Taoism the way non-Taoist historians have done. In the Tractate of Actions and Their Retributions, a traditional teaching, spiritual immortality can be rewarded to people who do a certain amount of good deeds and live a simple, pure life. A list of good deeds and sins are tallied to determine whether or not a mortal is worthy. Spiritual immortality in this definition allows the soul to leave the earthly realms of afterlife and go to pure realms in the Taoist cosmology. Philosophical arguments for the immortality of the soul. Alcmaeon of Croton argued that the soul is continuously and ceaselessly in motion.